What's up, y'all? I'm not going to take forever tonight because the big game is on in about 18 minutes or so. AFC North Championship, NFC South Championship yesterday. Fittingly, a fucking monsoon. That was, golly, I should have looked at the weather before turning that game on. It was like one of those 100% day chance things. Yeah, dude, it was tough to operate out there for both those quarterbacks, and I guess it kind of reminded me of the last scene in The Fan, which is a movie I bring up sometimes. Was far too much rain. If you've watched that movie, Wesley Snipes, Robert De Niro. De Niro is like a twisted individual. He's a stalker. Wesley Snipes plays for the San Francisco Giants. Robert De Niro is a mean fucking guy. I think he stabs one of Wesley Snipes' teammates in the shower. Actually, coincidentally, it was crazy. You guys haven't seen this movie. You need to go watch. But there was a too much rain on the field at the end of that game. At the end of that movie, and that's kind of what it reminded me of. I was like, "There's borderline too much rain on the field to be having this game," and we had to watch it. You kind of knew how it would end at Tampa Bay early in that game. I was like, dude, for a team that ran for 170 in the first ball game, like for them not to be running away from that game, running away with that game was kind of an indictment on I think where they are. They were making a lot of self-imposed errors. Now they ended up winning the game. And it took Ice Young hitting a couple incredible throws to get them back in the game and make that thing a game. But even with them winning the ball game, you kind of knew what would happen today. It's just the NFC South, man. That thing wasn't going to decide the division. No way. And Atlanta, I mean, for anybody that bet Atlanta, that was a crazy beat, wasn't it? Shuck just let him right down the field with a bunch of guys that you've never heard of. And so the NFC South finishes the Panthers. Congratulations to the Panthers. You kind of back into it. And I'm not saying that like in a wise ass kind of way. Listen, I grew up a Panthers fan. I sometimes remind you all that. I went to the games. I painted my face. I love the team. So if the Panthers are doing well, great. And I do think Bryce Young did enough in that game. Like, what are you going to do, man? He did enough in that game when you really consider the context of it to make me think you deserves to have his option picked up, and you can assess after next year. And I think that's a totally plausible thing. I'm not like, I don't think it's some hot take. I don't think I'm jumping out of the gym like, or I'm rooted in some confirmation bias here. Like, honestly, if I had to advise David Tepper, David, if you're listening, I think that's what you should do. I know maybe I've talked ill about you on this show before, but like, we all want the same thing, don't we? And that's to bring the short prince back for at least a year and give him some better players to operate with. I'm not saying that Ted McMillan isn't a damn start or that Coker's not fun, right? But like in reality, look at what he's working with. I mean, that call on the flea flicker in the rain was questionable. That was a very questionable offensive call. I mean, like it's hard enough for them to operate out there with the rain and the lack of weapons. And, and I know the Bucs aren't a great defense, but that call was hideous. I mean, you do not make your team handle the football any more than they have to in an adverse situation like that. I thought he was making a lot of the throws. He wants the pick back for sure. But, Baker sailed one as well. I think if you're coming out of that game and you're a Carolina fan, I know you're going to the playoffs and you got to focus on, hey, possibly LA, right? That's who they play. We just beat them. You're all excited in that, right? It took some turnovers. I think LA is going to be pissed off if, what happened to them on Monday night was any indication. They went out and tried to win that game today and ended up doing it by a wide margin eventually. But LA is going to they're going to have their foot on the gas pedal. I mean, it's a playoff situation. It's Sean McVay coach team. I didn't watch the LA game today. I assume Devontae Adams was not in the game. Is that a fair assumption, gentlemen? I don't believe he played either. So, it for me, if I'm Carolina, you got a puncher's chance because you've done it before, but it's got to be the turnovers, right? But if you're looking at next year, and I'm not saying you should just look past the first playoff game you've had in years, I feel like you got to feel pretty good. Like no matter who you are in this division, you have some optimism going into it. Like I think it's quite possible the two best teams played today, right? Like it's possible looking at who New Orleans was down the stretch this year, the way Tyler Shuck played. I know he definitely wants that double slant back that Alford took damn near to the house at the end of that game, kind of ended their chances and ended the Bucs' chances. Earlier in the game, he ripped the same slant. Actually, he went inside with it, and Alford had jumped the outside. And so he comes back to us. That's kind of like trap coverage. And so you end up with the football. But Shuck played tremendously, you know, as a young player. He's not that young. I mean, what is he, like 26 years old or some crazy shit like that? He's like a rich man's Brandon Whedon out here. You know, you're getting an adult, and you're getting a guy that it makes a lot of sense to play now. You look at this quarterback class coming up. I'm no, Daniel Jeremiah, but from what I hear from people like Daniel Jeremiah, it's just not like one of those classes. And what you did down the stretch of the season, you got to be jacked up about that. I mean, I thought the defense played well. I want to give out a big good for you to Chase Young. This is a week of like some good for yous because you see some guys play that don't play a lot. You also see some guys hit incentives. You also see guys like Chase Young who have been good, productive players in the league for a long time now. This is 8th season, I believe. First season with double digits makes a big deal, man, to say, hey, I had double digits in the NFL. You know, like it's not that easy to do. And I think, the injuries have caught up to him, and have certainly at times in his career, and certainly being, a high pick, he's dealing with a lot of pressure. People look at the sack numbers, the totals on his career so far, and you say, well, maybe he didn't live up to it. 10 sacks in the NFL is not fucking easy. And I thought if you looked at this year in a vacuum for him, and really since he's been signed with New Orleans, he's played really well. He's a good player. I mean, he was dominant at times. Like he flashes dominance. So, the guy that they picked way high, way long ago, he's a piece for New Orleans that, going forward. I don't know if his contract's up. I kind of feel like it might be. He's in his 6th season. It's 6th year. I was looking at the repeat. Years. When you look at his bio, he's under contract through 27. So it's great. He's got a long career ahead of him if he stays healthy, and he double digits. Good for him. Also, Cam Jordan, double digits, man. Saints, quiet as kept, had like one of the best pass rushing duos in the league. When you look at it from a productivity standpoint, man, like, Will Anderson and Hunter do that, and they both go to the Pro Bowl, which they should, right? Well, Hunter didn't because he got snubbed. But those two guys in New Orleans did a tremendous job. And I'm on a New Orleans diatribe here, but I'm just kind of going through the NFC South. I think you have a quarterback that you feel like could be the future, and was playing with guys like Estime in the backfield and Pettis outside. And, you get a punt blocked, you're victim of some self-inflicted wounds, and you damn near go win that game in Atlanta, which is a tough place to play. And speaking of Atlanta, I feel like that team is, again, optimism doesn't mean much to Atlanta fans, but you got to feel optimistic. All the close games you lost, right, where you ended up, you're closer than you realized, right? And you've got, as Raheem Morris framed Bijan Robinson, the best player in football. I don't know about that, but like he's damn near close to the best offensive player in football. You've got that, right? You've got Drake London. You have, I mean, Kirk Cousins, some of the play he gave you made you look real competent down the stretch. And the defense pierced with double digits, right? Young players flashing for them. I think Watts and the guys they have in the secondary, obviously Terrell, guys like that, just deeper secondary than you think, right? And I think people are going to find that out next year as they turn the corner. If they are sticking with Raheem, and it seems like they should, right? He did enough. That's another big good for you coming to you, Raheem Morris. A big good for you. Ulbrich, great job. I get comfy in that office, man. Because his group did a hell of a job. He had a lot of young rushers, very good secondary. I always say this: I'd rather take the secondary and invest in youth or try to coach up players that aren't household names up front. They did that this year. The Bucs, man, I don't know where you go from here. I really don't. I feel like nothing's going to change. I'm not saying something should change, but to me, that's a poorly coached football team. I don't know what else to say. If it's one unit that continues to fall short, if it's one unit that makes too many mistakes, if it's one unit that's losing you games, that's one thing. But if it's everywhere on the field, if it's everybody taking a turn as they did through that collapse, they end with a win, but and you see some of that big game Baker Mayfield come out. Like there was a tweet that I sent. I think I said I trust Bryce more than Baker right now, and I kind of stand on that, even though they lost the game. And I mean, right now, I meant this year because I don't think Baker was healthy all year. I know that. He's sitting on his kitchen table with a compression sleeve on for sure. His knees jacked up. I know he had a shoulder, on the injury report with a boatload of stuff, and just like it doesn't absolve certain guys of bad play, but he was up and down this year, and I didn't love the scheme. Right, that offense needs to be able to run the football. Right, that offense needs to be able to run the football. Last year, when they lost guys, they gave the ball to Tucker, they gave the ball to Bucky Irving, obviously, to White, and they didn't miss a beat. And this year, it felt like they were a lot more fragile. Right, same result at the end of the season. You're going home, like right. They played in one more game last year, and they looked about like this team would have looked if they got into the playoffs. Bucs have a lot of work to do. Again, I thought that Kancey injury was huge for them. And they didn't have much pass rush. The injuries at corner outside were bad. But the thing that really plagued this team was just poor fundamentals and bad complementary football and not putting teams away. And, honestly, it could have been a lot worse because they won a lot of close games early in the season. And I missed this one. I thought they were going to be very good this year. And I still believe there was a good football team in there, a good roster if everything broke right. Didn't work out that way. So RIP to the Bucs and RIP to the rest of the NFC South, except for Ice Young, who's got a puncher's chance playing the Los Angeles Rams, who are going to be focused. Man, they're going to be focused. Carolina's going to find out, for a team that's a year ahead, they're going to find out what playoff intensity is. And there's some guys on that team like Derek Brown, who I'm a big fan of, another Pro Bowl snub, right? Played his ass off in the rain out there. One of the best run stoppers in the league. You hear that all the time, but still has 5 sacks. People at home, how many of those Carolina Panthers can you name? And I thought Evero did a great job this year. I think he's going to continue to muddy things up. Does he have enough talent? I don't know. Do they have enough talent offensively? I don't know. But they already beat this team. So they'll be in the playoffs. I'm not going to talk equitably about each division. I just got off on a fucking NFC South tangent. That's just, you just got to deal with that tonight. So I'm not even looking at the comments. You can, say whatever you want. I'm still sick. This is going on a week. This is the last night, I think. If it's not, I get it checked out. But I'm still feeling it, dude. Try to go on a vacation sick. It really does. It's why you got to rest players. My wife's like, hey, it's week 18. We got to get you some reps. I don't care how the ankle feels. You know what I'm saying? We're going to Florida. And I got to respect that because I get paid to do this. This is my job. So yeah, did I take my kid to Zootopia too yesterday with body aches? I absolutely did. Etc. I love my fucking kids, dude. What are you gonna do? I also love you guys. So I'm gonna do what I need to do here, and then I'm gonna go watch. Hopefully, the Ravens kick some ass here in about 5 minutes. Let's see what I can fit in the next 5 minutes. Some more good for yous coming out. Keenan Allen. I guess I didn't see this, which is the great thing. I can just say I didn't see it, and I'm absolved of any bad take. I was told maybe the ball that got him one of his incentives hit the ground, and then I was told they went to replay and it still hit the ground. And then I was told the officials came back and said, that's a catch. You got some pull when that happens. I'm not saying I didn't see it. I was told. But, that's a good thing. That's fucking money in Keenan Allen's pocket. That's for all the calls they blow. If they blew a call to get some money in Keenan Allen's pocket, I'm cool with it. Listen, Chicago blew a real opportunity to obviously not secure the 2 seed. That happened anyways, but they blew an opportunity to go into the playoffs with a good vibe, right? And for Ben Johnson, it felt like, like they got to be able to get over this mental hump of losing the last 2 games. You go to San Francisco, you're worn out. Your defense is on the field a lot. Your defense gets worn out. You come back, you play Detroit. They got the ball like the whole half. And that's why I almost feel like I will look closer in the whole thing. They're going to play Green Bay. Green Bay is going to be pissed off. Green Bay's been to hell and back. Green Bay has literally died. You can't scare a team that's already died. I'm not saying they're very good. They got problems defensively. They're calling guys that couldn't make the Cowboys roster at the end of this season. Trayvon Diggs, and he's getting reps out there today. That game was so bad, man. I'm telling you, I had the Packers win total, and fuck the Packers for making me believe for a while that they could actually hit the total. I hedged the best I could, but what's the guy's name? I refuse. Clifton? Is it Clifton? Who's the quarterback for the Packers right now? I want Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune. This is the problem when you watch with your kids. You people that watch 4-box games, you don't know what's going on, because I kind of have no idea what went on today, dude. I had to watch with the kids today. I have no idea what's going on. So Clayton Tune, who they should have just optioned the whole game, they could barely move the football. Wilson had a minus 19-yard gain on first down. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Like, this team was so outmatched offensively. Obviously, they're sitting guys, but B-Flow's out there auditioning for a head coaching gig. The Packers, the one thing they got going for them in this matchup is I really do think Chicago's defense is going to be tired. I think they played a lot of snaps the last 2 weeks. At the end of the game, Ben Johnson there. I'm not going to break the game down right now, but, Ben Johnson there, you can see him, like, I don't know what he said when they cut the commercial when CJ Gardner-Johnson got hurt, and it was evident that, like, basically they're at midfield. This game's maybe gone on a little too long. I think you're probably looking at the score and saying, hey, the Eagles aren't going to win this game against Washington. Like, we didn't have to play this hard. Now we lost a guy who's been a spark plug for us. Middle of the field against the Packers. It's an area they're going to work. We'll see what they have if they don't have CJ Gardner-Johnson. That team's been very reliant on turning the ball over, right? At the end of the game, one of the most shocking things was that they weren't able to cash in on a turnover. Bayard pick, which has been like it's an annual thing with them every week, a weekly thing, not an annual thing. And, they weren't able to actually cash in on that. But this is a team that's kind of been getting by the skin of their teeth, and I think they're a good football team. Again, they're a year ahead, and they're playing a team in Green Bay that's wounded. And 2 weeks ago, their dude knocked the fucking quarterback out of the game, whether he meant to or not, and they had the fucking game in the bag, and Romeo Dobbs dropped the football, and you can tell I'm passionate about it because my kids suffered because of that football game. In the span of 5 minutes, everything changed for them. And honestly, going back a week prior, going to Denver, and the play that changed everything, right? Obviously the Micah Parsons injury, but also the Pat Surtain pick where he just pumas the football. I mean, he's like a big cat out there and took it away from Christian Watson, hurt Christian Watson in the process. It felt like at that point their season, kind of like their aspirations were cut in half. And you get some time to think about it. You lose a couple football games. You have to sit there this week. Jordan Love didn't take his fucking helmet off today. He was just staring at the field with his helmet on. That's going to be a hungry football team. Chicago's defense is going to be a little bit gassed. We'll see about the state of the secondary. But for Ben Johnson, I think he's really bummed because he definitely sold out to beat his old coach. Couldn't do it. I know some people said that the handshake was icy. But I thought they dapped and hugged. We saw the hug there. You had to lean in from both of them. They both leaned in towards the apex of the triangle. And for me, that shows respect. And ultimately, those guys worked hard together to build something. And I think Dan's message today to the team was, it ain't over what we're building. You go back a couple of years to Dan Campbell saying at the end of that NFC championship game, I believe it was the championship game, right, against the San Francisco 49ers, it was a championship game, right? And I thought they could have won that game. I mean, everybody knows that, the fourth down calls and execution of the fourth down calls. He said it at the podium, and these are some haunting words because they're so true. You don't know when the next time we're going to get back here is, and I'm paraphrasing. This might be our best shot. It is so fucking hard to win in the National Football League. It is so hard to go the distance in the National Football League and to be that close and to know and to have the foresight to say, and he's not sandbagging or tempering expectations. He's telling the truth. Guys, this could be it. And that's the reality. I don't know how to sugarcoat this. And it has been since that moment, right? I think they have the culture to get back there. They have to nail the offensive coordinator hire, and they have to nail the interior offensive line stuff. Bar none. Like, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. But Eagles, they lose. Now, I know some people are probably saying, hey, they should have played all their starters. Look, they could be the 2 seed. And there's an argument for that. Just go fucking play. That's it with the Eagles. Just go play. They're going to play the 49ers. In a lot of ways, this is a good matchup because for the offense, it is a good matchup. If the offense is a squeaky wheel, you'd probably rather see the worst defense in the dance, right? If the offense can't get right against this defense, then it is nuclear meltdown in Philly, right? Like, if this season ends because you can't beat the Niners, because you can't score with the Niners, or let's say you lose 20-17 to the Niners, then there's a problem, right? Because I looked at that defense all year long, and they lost a lot of guys. Now, what's up with Fred Warner? Can he just chill the fuck out? Can Fred? Hey, Fred, you're doing a great job with Ryan Russillo. I just wanted to say that. I mean, Ryan's not easy to podcast with, but you're making it look easy. And I hope he's paying you enough. And I hope you take another week to get right. Just take another week to get right, Fred. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
He's telling his teammates he's targeting the divisional round.
Divisional round. Yeah, take your time, brother. Take your time, Fred. Because that changes the football game. But I will say this, offense not doing well, not a bad thing. Can you turn that game on that TV, please? Steelers running with the football? Okay, a long way? Fuck yeah, let's work these guys, dude. I deserve it. You ever put a bet in and say, I deserve it, dude? Everything I've been through. You talk about the end of week 18. You know what this is? It also marks the end of Christmas break. I've been the Harlem Globetrotters. We've been the Harlem Globetrotters. We went to Florida, for fuck's sake. I don't like Florida. I don't like leaving the house. Multiple Christmas gatherings, 2-week cold, bad beats, left and right. We deserve this. We fucking deserve this. Derek, Henry, we deserve this. You and me deserve this, bro. This is our night. Because the other night, I'm going to tell you what, I took a little tolerance break while I was in Florida. I was like, let me just sink into this shit. This hating vacations. Let me go all the way with it. And, boy, I'll tell you, I came home and lit up the other night, and I was on the porch staring off into space, and I don't know what it was that made me start thinking about having to walk across America, dude. The Steelers promise I made where I was like, if the Steelers win the Super Bowl, I'll walk across America. Now I know it's not happening, but this is the type of stuff this is how you know you're high, when you start worrying about things like that. The thought, it was like Harry on the toilet in Dumb and Dumber, the moment where he realized that the toilet was broken. I started to hear Aaron Rodgers' voice saying, get your walking shoes on. I started seeing like a montage of the guys on the Pat McAfee show, like Tone Diggs and those guys just laughing at me, pointing and laughing. Started to imagine people like waiting at checkpoints. Like I was some fucking loser. Yeah, dude. Like so anyways, it was ugly. Get your walking shoes on. That's what I heard. So I hope that doesn't happen. Ravens moving the football. Anyways, I mean, Eagles, this is how I feel. It's about the Eagles defense versus damn San Francisco's offense. This is going to be that matchup, man. I cannot wait to see it. Now, if I'm San Francisco, I am camping out looking at that Bears tape. I'm going through that Bears tape with a fine-tooth comb. Because there are some elements of this offense that can be, you can just plug and play. And and the backers had a rough night. Some of the support players had a rough night. So that run game, which has been up and down, and Trent being back would be huge for the San Francisco 49ers, as would who else missed the damn game? Pearsall. Well, Pearsall, is he out?
He missed the game.
Pearsall, Trent Williams, George Kittle. That's why I give San Francisco a lot of grace for losing that game the other day. And yeah, I gave out Seattle to win the division. Thank you very much. My parade will be tomorrow. And then I'm gonna make the whole show about it tomorrow. And then Seattle in the second game, you kind of had a feeling they'd win that football game because of the injuries. So San Francisco, you're kind of off the hook. I'm not saying Seattle, you don't deserve the credit. I thought Sam looked fantastic. That's the kind of night that helps you beat the allegations. It's like a leather glove that doesn't fit. You know what I'm saying? You guys were too young to watch the OJ trial. It's fucking vivid for me. And and so that was the kind of performance for Sam that, like, man, more of that, and people will start calling you, legit, which I think he is. I mean, you can't take it away from him. I mean, there's echelons and tiers of quarterbacks. I mean, he's a guy that you can win with, but he's got to stack more of those nights. And I thought Kenny Walker was huge. I mean, like, some of the things that happened to San Francisco's defense in the run game, just frustrating. Like, you give up a 3rd and 19 or whatever it was. That call is there just to punt the football or kick the football, right? So won't go too into that game. We'll do it tomorrow on the live show. Give you a little bit more X's and O's there. But if the Eagles can find a way to win that game and LA wins that game, I think that's a fantastic game. Eagles in LA at home. I know some people are saying, hey, the Eagles have beat them over and over again. I saw some lines that came out that the Rams would probably be favored. I don't think that's shocking. But damn, dude, like, what a game that would be. And I'm bouncing around here. The Myles Garrett sack, right? The Myles Garrett sack. I hope there's not. I just have gotten to the point now anticipating, like, the takes are so bad. Like, just takes on everything are so bad now, and people are so emotional. And they don't use, like, I don't know, somebody's phone's ringing. It's an alarm. Reads alarm to, let's go. Touchdown, Ravens. You motherfucker. Who is that? Let's go. This is going to be a rout. Belt to ass. You feel me, BetMGM? Not so fun. Not so fun having me sign up for an account, is it? All right. You like that? So, anyways, yeah, the Garrett sack. I know some people, like, they're gonna have their take. I feel like, some of the stuff I saw online was probably all AFC North fans, but the guy beat the dog out of the tackle, and Joe Burrow's gonna get crushed, and he gets down. This is not Favre and Strahan. It's not. It's not. And I know it took one game longer, but they're both remarkable. Anybody that ever got 22, 23 sacks in a year is a legend. That's why I said to my kids today, I was like, man, Robert Quinn, Uncle Rob, when he came into town? They're like, yeah, I know Uncle Rob. I'm like, he almost broke that record. And the most remarkable thing about breaking that record for Myles Garrett is not only just doing it, right? But it's all the attention that's paid to him, but he's also on a team. Somebody said Garrett's the best in the league easily, but it is 17 games. It is more impressive than doing it in 16 games when you consider that team is absolute dog shit. They barely win any games. The games they win them 14-12. They have no leads. I lived it. I lived it for 8 years. I got a PhD in playing on football teams like this. What he did should be studied. And it's remarkable. That's why I said when Robert Quinn, and we were a middling team, like 6-10 type team. For us, that's middling. Back when we had 16, 2013, I believe it was. He ended up with like 20 sacks. Didn't get DPOY, whatever. But he to have that many, and he had one call back in the last game, to be in the neighborhood of breaking that record on a team like Robert Quinn was, to be in the neighborhood of breaking that record on a team like this Cleveland Browns team it's impressive. And when you take into account his get off was 0.23 seconds, which they didn't calculate back when I played. It's the fastest time recorded by any player on a sack this year. There was some stat where he's like 0.07 seconds behind Usain Bolt. There's no asterisks needed. There's no asterisks needed. And Joe Burrow's going to die, dude, if he doesn't get down. I mean, he's done that 15 times this year. So congratulations to Myles Garrett. I just wanted to make the record as bulletproof as I could. You know, sometimes I feel like my job here is like, hey, whether you accept, you know, what I'm saying or not, like I just want to lay it out because like maybe you have a different opinion and I don't mean to, you know, belittle you if you do, but I just think it's short-sighted, man. Like that was pretty incredible. And I don't think Joe sat down at all. I thought that was a fucking maybe it's a straw man. I don't know. Yeah, Robert Quinn was incredible. Somebody said he should have had 21 and a half sacks, but the NFL robbed him. He did get robbed at the end of that year. 16-game season, 21 and a half sacks, 20 and a half sacks or whatever it was. Now, he had some good players playing with him and all that, but like I'm not taking anything away from Cleveland, but that's another thing. Who's the other guy? Who's the other guy? Who's the other guy? He's it. I'm not saying the other players aren't good players. Defense is good defense. They got good cover guys. Who's the other guy? He doesn't have a Robin of consequence. It's incredible. It's incredible. Somebody's just all caps JJ Watt 3 times DPOY. I'm like, he's not even in the conversation right now. Yeah. So, yeah, people are pissed at Sirianni, dude. Yeah, I think it just comes down to go play, man. Go play. It's going to be hard to win the whole thing anyways. You know, it's a little bit of a Rockhead take, but like if Jalen Hurts playing in that game, Louvu would have done some crazy shit to him. Like dudes were headhunting. They're headhunting this guy. And not to mention, my wife called this out from the kitchen. Oh, it's a terrible thing to say, but she was literally like this sounds terrible. I'm like, I'm on the couch. My wife's in the kitchen cooking dinner. And she's like, you know, babe, they went for 2 in that first game. Dan Quinn wants to win this fucking game, dude. So, you know, shout out to Meg. She had the best take of the day, which is like and you had to rest the offensive line. That's the crux of it, dude. That offensive line is hanging on by a thread. Offensive line hanging on by a thread. And, you know, you've got the problems you have everywhere offensively. But Jalen out there with that offensive line is going to be terrible. With the offensive line sitting certain guys, man. And Tanner McKee, man, like they think he's good enough to like, you know, possibly win that football game. So you're kind of making a calculation based on a couple different factors. And getting your quarterback hurt, that's going to sink you round 1, right? So you like Tanner McKee enough to play him, but not enough to play him in the fucking wild card round. So yeah, dude, they got to go. They just got to go win. Jacksonville Jaguars showed up, took care of business. As adult as any football team today, I mean, Cam Ward drove right down, puts him up 7-0, but hurts his shoulder, and they gave him the hook right away. Backup played pretty good, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're playing like a wagon. You know, they had their week off last week where they almost got beat by the Colts. Hey, that Colts team almost beat the Texans this week. So there's no shame in almost getting beat by that Colts team. Because honestly, Riley Leonard looked pretty good today. It's a totally different look than Phillip Rivers. You know, some people are going to say, hey, Riley Leonard should have been there the whole time. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. Because honestly, the results of those football games, they're right there. They kick the ball through the uprights to beat Seattle. Seattle just comes back down the field on your defense and kicks a field goal. I mean, San Francisco, the offense wasn't the problem. The defense was the problem. They couldn't get a stop. And then last week it was what? Jacksonville, right? And, you know, like you're right there to win that football game. Maybe the point is Riley Leonard could put you over the top in those football games, but I think the experience of Rivers kind of was stabilizing for that group. And Riley's probably a lot better than he was a month ago. Wow, Raheem Morris fired. Jesus. They must have somebody in mind. What's Albrecht going to do? His unit was really good this year. I know it's Raheem Morris's, defensive coach and everything, but Jeff Albrecht, Is Jeff Ulbrich your head coach? You know, we do this sometimes. Jeez Louise. Rodgers 4th and 11. I'm not walking anywhere. I'm not walking anywhere. Oh, fuck, I was having a panic attack. Oh, I'm going to do it in installments and people are going to call me a pussy. Fuck, I'm thinking about getting hit by a car, dude. Like, and my kids being like, how did he die? He was walking across America. So my last question is this, and you know, like as far as Houston's concerned, you could see that coming from a mile away. That was going to be a football game. It's just one of those things. I think they were score watching the minute fucking Jacksonville started going belt to ass. I think it's hard to focus. No excuse. But certainly Indianapolis, they sold out to stop the run from what I could see. And they got hit on double move and that sort of thing. It's just one of those things where they were going to let Jonathan Taylor run the ball up their ass. And you know, the kid made him pay. And honestly, people have been doing that the past couple of weeks, I feel like, but Rivers didn't have the cannon to beat him. And so maybe that proves your point. But I also think you take one game at a time. And it wouldn't have mattered either way. This team wasn't going to the playoffs. This team's season was over when Jones popped his Achilles. Honestly, it might have been over more so when Richardson got hit in the head, because I would have liked to have seen him had a shot at it. So Raheem got fired. Again, I don't know. They have somebody in mind. They have somebody in the building. They like, we'll see. Total question mark. Question mark. What do you do at quarterback? You know, everything. So my question to you is, if you were the head coach of the Giants next year or the head coach of the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, who feels better about this situation? I know they didn't play each other this year or this week. But like, had me thinking, because Jackson Dart finished strong, right? Kind of one of those players you want to see finish the season. Like, you feel real good about him. He's an offensive rookie of the year candidate, all that stuff. But like, you know, you hear good things about him in the building, but finishing with a win is big, right? And on the other side of things, like JJ McCarthy, they get that win, but he exits the game with a hand injury. And it's the same hand, I guess, that he's been dealing with. So, you know, like the questions of, is he injury prone, that sort of thing, like people are going to ask him. And, you know, as good as he looked at times today, I do think you go into the offseason daydreaming. And, you know, if your rope's getting shorter as a head coach, like, is he the guy, right? Like, it's nothing personal, but like, hey, now the gun's pointed at me. So I'm not in the business anymore of like giving people long leashes. If there's a guy in free agency that we can have, or if there's something that we can get done, you're like, that's a possibility. And you know, I also think like in that division, Caleb Williams is a dude, Jordan Love is a dude, Jared Goff's a dude. They're all dudes. They're different kind of dudes, but they're all dudes. And I don't know if you have a dude. And I think in New York, they're convincing themselves they have a dude. Neighbors is going to come back. Scatterboo's coming back. You know, the defense couldn't be any worse. Derrick Henry tackled. Cam Hayward's excited. He wants me to walk across America. No, sir, I will not walk across America. No, sir. Respectfully. Somebody said, do you think he's injury prone with 5 or so concussion evaluations? Evaluations. They double checked and he was still okay. I just want to be fair to him. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah. The biggest good for you of the day. My brother, Kyle Long, on the call in a game that was almost a scoregami. Honestly, dude, it's a lot like what happened to Russell Crowe in Gladiator. They just threw him out there. They were like, Raiders, Chiefs, let's see how you do. It's a fucking football game with 8 field goals and a fucking safety. Let's see how you hold up, big guy. I thought he did a great job, man. I thought he did a great job. I was proud. I was sitting there. I texted him a couple times. Swear to God, one of the only things I texted him, I texted him at the half, hydrate, which is such a dad thing. I thought he did great, man. Did great. It's really hard to call an NFL game, and it's really hard to do it when it's a blowout. It becomes even harder when it's a close game that's like unwatchable. And that game was as close to unwatchable as possible. I'm a rock fight connoisseur. I'm sending that back. I'm sending that back to the chef, dude. And they made the most of it. The whole team made the most of it. It's 12-11 at the end of that football game. Carlson, they played 60 minutes of meaningless football, and Carlson from midfield just renders it all useless for like the 9th field goal of the day. Kyle did a great job. He called Kingsley. He nailed Kingsley Suamata'ia's name. What a throw, Lamar. Flowers is afraid to catch the ball in the middle of the field. Yikes. It's the Jalen Ramsey effect. Hey, my family's depending on you catching this football. He called Kingsley thicker than the glass at an aquarium. It was honestly like if John Madden and John Gruden had a baby and gave it like all the food in the house. That's Kyle. This was Kyle out there. He was great. Somebody keeps telling we got people filing in here telling me Raheem got fired. I know you missed it. We moved on. No, all of them. Damn! Imagine winning that game and coming back in the locker room like so. Honestly. Yeah, Kyle did a great job, man. I'm super proud of him. Super proud of him. There were so many moments where I was like, man, it could go awry here. Like if you're not on your game. And he's nimble. He's a nimble guy. He's a nimble big man. That's what made him a great guard, you know? So anyways.
Does Tomlin get fired if the Steelers lose?
I heard Tomlin was asking for a stake of ownership if he were to stay, which is like the wildest negotiating tactic I've ever heard, if true. It's almost like saboteur stuff. Like, we're going to give you $500,000. All right, I'll take $1 billion. You show up to like a fucking Facebook marketplace deal. There's like a $12,500 boat. Like, yeah, I'll take it if you throw in your firstborn son. Like, what? Tomlin, did he really ask for that? Is that a rumor? How about like, if you fire me, I will leave if you make me an owner. Like, that's more like what I'm thinking. But he obviously still wants to coach. He's a young dude. And, you know, like maybe some changes. Remember, I floated this whole, hey, what if every coach in the division got fired? Kevin Stefanski's a hot name. I'm not surprised. I think I don't think he's a bad football coach. I'm sorry. I don't think he's that bad. He's a good offensive mind. I don't know if he's a motivator. I'm not in his locker room. I was told he was trying to lose all these games, and now people are telling me that like, look at all the winning they're doing, right? But I was told he wanted to lose all these games. Make up your mind. I actually think he's a good offensive mind. I'm not saying he should get a head coaching job again, but I don't think he's trash. Damn. Come on, Lamar. And the last thing is this. I promise it's probably the last thing. I want to make sure there's no more. I also think Carolina got hosed on some calls yesterday. I just want to say that. I really do. I also think Detroit got away with one before the half today. Who was it? Was it Rock Yassin that just kicked the loose football? Like, it was after an incompletion. Rock Yassin just walked up and Pele'd it. in the direction of like some bears, and DeAndre Swift was like, "Did you see that?" Every time that's first down. Ends up 4th and short. They don't get any points. You know, some people are on the Bears, but Eagles. I mean, like for a second there, I was like, "Oh well, at least the Eagles are going to win." Doesn't matter. Oh, the last thing I wanted to say was this. What did I want to say? It was the last thing. Oh yeah, I'm just going to tell you. Tomorrow, my Bevel Conway. A lot of people are going to think that's the Denver. I know the judges are sitting right here. A lot of people are going to say Denver and LA because it was beautiful. It was the bright colors. We love those. But it was Buffalo and New York. They need to mandate that matchup looking just like that going forward. There's no Winter Soldier uniform worth it. There's no red jersey worth it. There's no fucking Jets olive drab city edition worth it. Nothing. Stay right there the way it is. The Jim Kellys and the fucking, what are those, the Namaths? They're beautiful. It's red and green, dude. It's Christmas. And it's blue. And it's football. Stay right there. And the last thing I want to say is this. That guy, the fucking guy, Kurt Signetti, maybe that's who Atlanta's hiring. Because if I were a pro football team, I would hire this guy. At first, I was like, oh, good for the guy from JMU. Then I heard him say, Google me, and I was like, this fucking guy. And now, I want to work for him. Especially because I heard that he understands the thing that most people don't. In the world, in business, and certainly in pro and college football, don't waste anybody's time. I heard this thing he said. I'm just going to give him the microphone right here.
And I don't.
Oh shit! I got the fucking. What is this? What do I got here? What are we doing here? What do we got? We got love in the air. Hold on.
I was growing up. I didn't like when people wasted my time, and I don't want to waste the players' time, and I don't want to waste the coaches' time, and I don't make the coaches stay at night. Maybe that's why I got guys been with me so long. All right, and we start at 7:30 in the morning like everybody else, and you stay till your work's done. And I'm not checking to see who's there and who isn't, right? But I can tell you one thing: when we're in that office, it's all business. You know, it is all business. It's organized, preparation. And we're on that practice field. Look, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, hour 35 to an hour 45. Hour 35 to an hour 45. Monday, walkthrough. Friday, shorter walkthrough. I believe in keeping them fresh and healthy. And our players like the way we run the program. We've had a great culture for the last 8 to 10 years.
Fucking love this guy.
Downstairs. You know, and you can't put a value on a great culture. Now, winning helps, no doubt. But the right kind of people believing in your process, your blueprint, your plan helps too.
Man, if you don't get all these other fucking college football coaches out of here with all their playing king and, you know, like the it's almost like an era of like, I don't know. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have that air that bothers me in college football. Like, honestly, when I heard him say Google me at first, I was like, man, get a load of this guy, right? I'm like, this guy fucking smells his farts. But now I'm like, he should. Because that Indiana team's really good. And the more I hear him talk, the more I like him. When I was a player, as a defensive lineman, that's ground zero for wasting time, dude. We would sit in meetings 3 hours too long a day. I mean, if you're in Jim Schwartz's defense, you can learn it in 5 minutes. What are we doing in meetings? You know what I'm saying? We should be on our own watching film, watching the things we want to watch. We should be at home getting rest. We should be taking time away from the building at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever it is, or training camp. When everybody else is in there till 10:30, 11 at night, maybe we go home at 8 because the guys on the back end are learning combo coverage. I got to put my face in the fan and set the fucking edge. That's the extent of my job. And as a defensive lineman, I was always bothered by the performative hours that coaches kind of engage in. Everything's performative. I sleep in the office. My wife hates me. Sick fucking brag, bro. My kids haven't seen me in a month. We're 4-12. That's not really paying off, is it? It's about the right people in the building. It's about the right culture. And it's about because honestly, if a team is wasteful with their time from a schedule standpoint, if you don't have a coach that's like a CEO, an architect that looks at every corner of the program and cuts the fat out and isn't afraid to be asked, why are we doing this? That's the most important question. Signetti's got me going. It's the most important question that you can ask a leader. Why? And the leader should be able to answer that question. Why? And if there's a why, I'll fucking do it. I'll march off the edge of the cliff if there's a why. But if there's no why, and that's one of the reasons I like Dan Campbell is he gave those guys the why. One of the first sound bites I ever heard Dan Campbell was he was like, hey guys, I'm going to kick your fucking ass today. This is why. And I love you and you're not being punished, but we got to do it. Signetti, hey, why are we in meetings? I bet you he knows every hour down to a T. There's no wasted time. And that's the kind of guy, I just like the guy. He's really won me over with this Indiana shit, dude. He's got an Eagle Scout and a bunch of fucking big hog mollies. And he's just beating college football teams. The Lanning Signetti matchup, I don't watch too much college football, but I can tell you these guys are both fucking A+ coaches. They're both really fun. Really fun to watch. Their teams play hard. And I did watch the Mayo Bowl the other night, which is disgusting. Like, honestly, if I'm a sideline reporter and they tell me, hey, you got to do the Mayo Bowl, somebody else can have it. They were pouring mayo down a guy's. He was opening his mouth and they were shooting mayo into his mouth. You know? And that's gross. And on top of it, that poor quarterback from Mississippi State, that had to be one of the worst leg injuries I've seen. It just was so bad. He got saved by like the yellow line. I was like, what the fuck are we doing out here? He's up in the air 11 feet, landing on his head, giving it up for the Mayo Bowl. I hope that quarterback comes back next year. He earned my respect watching that game. All right. This is it. We're done. Tomorrow, 3:45. We'll lay out the playoffs. We'll break down, a little bit more in detail what happened, when it matters. So I appreciate y'all. I really do. And we will catch you tomorrow. 202-991-0723. That is the number you call to ask us questions and give your takes. And don't be calling with this bullshit, man. Bring the heat. Bring the heat. I mean, how do you feel about your team going to the playoffs? Take care.